The EOS 5D Mark IV was one of the last professional level DSLRs released by Canon, while the EOS R5 is one of its new breed of mirrorless cameras aimed at professionals, and it features the new RF lens mount. In this short video, I'll compare the Canon R5 and the 5D Mark IV and explore the similarities and differences to find out whether the last of the famous 5D line of DSLRs is still up to the demands of jobbing professionals. So first things first, DSLRs and mirrorless cameras are two different types of camera with distinct design philosophies. DSLRs primarily use a mirror to reflect the image from the lens into the viewfinder, allowing the user to see exactly what the camera is seeing. When the shutter button is pressed, the mirror flips up and the image is captured by the camera's sensor. On the other hand, mirrorless cameras don't have a mirror. Instead, the image is previewed on an electronic viewfinder, EVF, or on the screen on the back of the camera. The preview is captured by the camera's sensor. The advantage going mirrorless is that the camera bodies can be designed smaller and lighter because they don't need a mirror box. Modern mirrorless cameras also tend to have faster, more advanced autofocus systems and better video capabilities. Now, let's look at some of the specifications, starting with the sensor. Both cameras offer high quality full frame sensors. However, the R5 boasts a higher resolution at 45 megapixels compared with the EOS 5D Mark IV's 30.4 megapixels. This means that the R5 can capture more detail, and its higher resolution can be useful for cropping images without losing too much quality. The R5 also features Canon's latest Digic X processor, which is faster and more powerful than the Digic 6 Plus processor found in the EOS 5D Mark IV. Consequently, the R5 can shoot at up to 12 frames per second with the mechanical shutter or 20 frames per second with the electronic shutter. What's more, it can capture 350 JPEG or 180 RAW images in one high-speed sequence. Meanwhile, the 5D Mark IV tops out at 7 frames per second, but it can shoot until the memory card is full with JPEGs or record just 21 RAW files. Both cameras are capable of shooting 4K video, but the R5 has significant advantages. It can shoot 8K video at 30 frames per second and 4K video at up to 120 frames per second. The R5 also has in-body image stabilization, which can make handheld video shooting steadier. Now, you may be thinking you don't need to shoot 8K, and for the most part you're right, but that flexibility of having that 8K recording option in the R5 means you can downsample your 8K video to create a higher quality 4K version. You also get greater scope to crop your footage post-capture. The R5 scores another victory when it comes to autofocus, as it had Canon's latest dual pixel CMOS AF2 system, which it uses for shooting stills and video. This is faster and more accurate than the original dual pixel CMOS AF that's available for live view and video shooting with the 5D Mark IV. The R5 also has many more AF points than the 5D Mark IV has available when shooting stills, so it's easier to follow a moving subject. Another bonus with the R5 is that it can detect and track the eyes and faces of humans and animals, which can be useful for portrait and wildlife photography. Firmware updates have also expanded its subject detection to include vehicles and different types of animal. The EOS 5D Mark IV is no slouch, it should be said. At the time of its launch in September 2016, it boasted one of the best AF systems of any camera, but Canon's technology has evolved. Both cameras have a touch-sensitive rear screen, but the R5's is larger at 3.15 inches compared to the 5D Mark IV's 3-inch screen. The R5 screen is also fully articulating, which can be useful for shooting at creative angles, as well as for framing yourself when vlogging. The R5 has a 0.5-inch 5.76 million dot OLED electronic viewfinder with 120 frames per second display and 0.76 times magnification, while the EOS 5D Mark IV, of course, has an optical viewfinder, which some people may prefer. However, an EVF allows you to preview your shots with a higher degree of accuracy and can be especially useful in low or tricky lighting conditions. As you can see, the R5 is significantly smaller than the EOS 5D Mark IV. It also weighs 738 grams, while the 5D Mark IV is 890 grams. That might not seem like much difference, But when you're hand holding the camera all day at a wedding, sports or news event, every gram helps. In conclusion, both the Canon EOS 5D Mark IV and the Canon EOS R5 are impressive cameras with a lot to offer. The 5D Mark IV is a powerful DSLR that still holds up in today's market, while the R5 is a newer, more advanced mirrorless camera. Ultimately, the choice between the two cameras will depend on your specific needs and preferences, and of course budget. If you're looking for a camera that can shoot 8K video, has a higher resolution sensor, faster autofocus and continuous shooting rates, well, the R5 is the clear winner. If you currently own the 5D Mark IV, we'd recommend upgrading to the R5. You should be able to sell your EOS 5D Mark IV and get a decent return, which will go some way in reducing the cost of the R5.